Hi guys, back once again, and this time talking Stranger Things Season 3. I'm going to try to keep this as spoiler free as possible. So, let's get into talking about Stranger Things. I'm going to start off by saying this was probably my favourite season of Stranger Things. I liked this a lot. I thought that Season 2 had got a bit sidetracked, and had forgotten what made Season 1 so good. I think Season 3 could have been a little bit more inclusive of the nostalgia factor, which kind of got left behind with Season 2, but it did in fact put the focus back to where the focus should have been, which is back onto the kids. Which again is one of the problems I had with Season 2, was that it drifted away from this core group which we all fell in love with in the first series. Season 3 of Stranger Things then is filmed beautifully. They make the town of Hawkins look just a fabulous place, and it's shot impeccably well. All the sets look good, the costumes look good. Again, you're left out of the nostalgia, so you get these little things here or there where you get the old phone on the wall type thing, but there's things that it looks a little more timeless here, whereby you can't really put a date on when this is set. You know it's sort of mid-80s kind of thing, but that's just because you know it. If you hadn't been told it could have been set any when. Which is a little bit of a problem, nothing major, but it's just a little bit of a sort of a underlying gripe that they could have applied to, small things here or there. There is a nice moment whereby they do a deliberate sort of, okay, you know exactly when this is set, because they tell you, and they do a better job than by actually showing you by going to the cinema. That's a very nice little moment. I think it put a smile on pretty much everybody's face. And I like the choice of movie as well, because it was kind of this is a very on similar lines to Stranger Things, so that I thought helped. It was good to see all the people get back together, all the kids get back together. That was a nice little moment where they're all in one place at one time. And yeah, this season has this bit where they do this. We're gonna break up and divide the group up a little bit here or there, but it pays off, and I thought it much better than Season 2, in that the reason why they split off isn't because they didn't have anything to do with these characters. It was for moving the plot along, and that's very much a vast improvement to Season 2, as well as the fact that they don't leave Hawkins. Oh, thank you. One of the problems that I had with Season 2 was that god-awful Trip Out episode, whereby the 11 went on a little sort of side story. Yeah, that didn't happen in this season. Good, thankfully. This worked really, really well. The pacing to the show was really good. I liked it a lot. The lighting I thought was great. The musical score and the musical choices I thought were good. I think they could have gone a bit further with the musical choices. That the ones that they chose were definitely sort of standout moments of that particular year. I think they could have put in a few more though. It would have been nice just to sort of really embellish on the music of that era, of that year. Also, I thought that the visual effects in this series were just phenomenal. I have nothing else to say. There are movies that do not look this good, and I mean there are movies in the cinema right now that don't look this good, and the visual effects were just staggering, just absolutely staggering. So Season 3 of Stranger Things was excellently put together. The story, on the other hand, I'd have to say was a retread, but they were kind of clever with it. In fact, that they took basically what had happened in, I guess, an earlier story, and decided to switch. I'm being very coy about this because I don't want to give anything away, but they switched sides then. They decided to choose that it's not these people doing it now, it's these people instead. It makes sense. I just wish they'd gone with a different group of people instead. It's a little bit, you know, you've hit that button once before, and other shows have done it. It hasn't been done before in Stranger Things, but it's been done a lot by, let's just say, an American viewpoint, and still worked. I felt, there's nothing really wrong with it. But again, it was a good idea to actually have other people do it instead. I hope that hasn't given anything away. But yeah, I would have liked it to have been somebody else. I would have liked it to have been a different group of people instead. The story then still pans out really, really well. It's well paced. I don't think there's a single episode that feels like it outstays its welcome. And it wraps up the story quite nicely, I thought. Now, there are a couple of issues here or there. There's a storyline involving Nancy and her job and her employers, which, to me, I feel like she was kind of robbed of a bit of comeuppance for these characters. She kind of gets it, but really doesn't. And look, if I had written it, it would have been cheesy as shit. So it's kind of good that I didn't. But I just wish that she had that little moment of sort of retribution. You know, that little bit of revenge, and she doesn't really get it in those sorts of terms. Now, there's also the fact that for me, there is a character in this episode, in this story, in this season, that I just wish wasn't there. I'm sorry to say this, but it's the little girl. The 10-year-old black girl. That character has no redeeming qualities whatsoever. And I mean the character, not the actress. The actress was nailing it every single time, clearly. But the character, I guess maybe they thought she was being sassy when they were making it, but it was nothing but attitude all the time, and too much of it without some sort of put down, without some sort of rebuttal, just makes this character really obnoxious. Like nobody told this kid to shut the fuck up. You know, there was no point did any character turn on and go, "Will you, for the love of God, shut up?" It was just, she was just on all the time, and the actress again was delivering it brilliantly, but the character was, she was, nerve-grating, self-centered, self-absorbed, again obnoxious, obsequious. She was a bit of a bully, if anything, and she had no redeeming features whatsoever. Even when she was helping them, she was bitch-ass moaning at them. It was too much. There should have been an off button, and there wasn't, and there should have been this. I mean, there's a point, small spoiler alert to her, there's a point where she's in an air duct with dust in, and he's looking at a way to knock off this piece of machinery, and I just thought, just grab her and just throw her into it. It's the best way to shut it down. Just take her and just throw her straight into it. And it was, I could have done without her in the show. And again, that's not on the actress, that is purely on the way this character was written, and also on the fact that the other characters were not written to shut her down, to give her a piece of her own medicine. I'm not sure how that character evolves and doesn't become a bully. Yeah, so there's that, but there are some great outstanding moments here as well in this season. One of my favourite outstanding moments, and this is again small spoiler alert, this season does what I can only describe as the Rose saves Finn moment from The Last Jedi, but does it right. It actually shows how this should have done, how this should have worked out, and it works well, really well. Also, I think that the characters of Dustin have grown a little bit. Will didn't really do a lot this season, and I thought Eleven had started becoming a teenager, you know, sort of having that sort of relationship with Mike, and I felt that this was nice. I think we could spend a little more time with those kids though, having those sort of relationship moments. It was nice. Again, they didn't really nothing to detract from the story, but it would have been nice to have injected a little more of that as opposed to just the sort of world-ending consequences. Maybe, you know, if they do Stranger Things 4, that we're going to get a little bit more of these people together, which would be very, very nice. However, overall, I would say, again, my favourite season of Stranger Things. Absolutely loved it. If I had to give you the biggest, what I felt was the biggest detraction in the show, is that season 3 was a little too slick. And I don't mean in terms of pacing or writing, I mean there was a lack of dirt, there was a lack of grit to this season. It was very, very slick, very well put together, an extremely well-oiled machine, and that was a little bit to its detriment, because everything was so super well lit and so glossy that it lacked grain, it lacked dirt under the fingernails, it lacked a sense of real world, that everything looked coiffed and well made and well put together and well dressed. You needed to see something, you know, fall off the wall. Yeah, it's grit. That's the one thing that this season lacked, was a real sense of real world. You know, this shit is not great. You know, we've got this here and it's a little bit crap, and it lacks that, which I felt, you know, season 1 done really well. But yeah, it needs to inject a little bit more raw and make it a little bit less so well rehearsed and so well streamlined, and that I think is probably the biggest bump that this show has. And I don't really think that calling the show a well-oiled machine is really a bump, but for Stranger Things it kind of feels that way. So it could have done with a little bit more nostalgia injected into the show, could have been done with a little bit more 80s music injected into the show, and it needed a little bit more grit. But aside from that, this show was mind-blowingly great. I absolutely loved pretty much everything about this production. It was fantastic to see, and I can't wait for the next. And that's what I thought of Stranger Things Season 3.